Lia Musgrave in the driver's seat this morning. You are stuck with me for the next 3 hours. That probably means a lot of corny jokes, probably a few unnecessary puns here and there.
I know somebody, they said that she makes coffee nervous.
How we feeling today?
I'm exhausted.
She's always like, hey, she's still...
I know.
It's the caffeine. Don't be fooled.
The maroon and white were mismatched on several fronts, and at the end of the day, they just couldn't stop the tide. So what does this loss mean for Texas A&M moving forward? Well, Jimbo Fisher says it's all about keeping things in perspective. This right here is called the bud of the marijuana plant. That's the main ingredient used to make it. What you're seeing right now is these plants are being hung out to dry. They'll then make their way down to the DPS lab in Waco, where they'll be tested and later on destroyed. Aggie basketball heads into the Southeastern Conference tournament with momentum on their side after winning 5 of their last 7 games.
From your perspective, at what point is it time to be deliberate in decision-making when we realize how much preparation and how much risk mitigation has to go into this?
Former Texas A&M offensive coordinator Jake Spavital will make his way back to his old stomping grounds, this time making his debut as the head coach at Texas State University.
It's time to start winning the games that you're supposed to. It's time to start beating the teams that you're supposed to better. Yes. It's time to not play Arkansas and Ole Miss as competitively as normal. For years, it's kind of seemed like the gap between the top teams in the East and everybody else has been pretty wide, but Jeremy Pruitt's been doing some interesting things on the recruiting trail, and it seems like they're kind of finally loading up. And you've said yourself that Tennessee's tried to build their offenses around a strong offensive line, and that kind of seems to be the case this year. He's been under scrutiny since day one because Auburn fans have such high expectations. And this is a cumulative effect, maybe a byproduct of the mediocrity that Auburn fans have seen over the last few years, because in Gus's first season in 2013, he went 12-2. Then he goes 8-5, 7-6, 8-5 again, 10-4 in 2017, and then back to 8-5.
Perhaps the biggest storyline of fall camp this year is the battle for the position of backup quarterback. Now, while Coach Jimbo Fisher and offensive coordinator Daryl Dickey can both agree that while Zach Calzada, Connor Blumrick, and James Foster all make an interesting case for the job, no one has emerged as the number 2 guy just yet.
And then we just witnessed a paradigm shift where Houston picks up 9 wins in a row, but you do get a tough loss to the Colts at home on Sunday. And this seems to me kind of like a team of extremes where you lose several in a row and then you win several in a row. So my question for you is, do you think Sunday's loss was more of a bump in the road, or do you think it could be a momentum swing? The position battles are going to be more intense, and that's what you want on a team competing, especially in the SEC West. Iron sharpens iron. And I think there's no reason for the Aggie offensive line to not get better when they have to go up against the Aggie defensive line in practice every single day.
Buzz, I know you have high hopes and aspirations for your program. How do you get there? What are the keys to building on the things that you're creating right now? Things have quieted down, but it is still an active scene. Investigators are continuing to collect information. I'm going to step outside the frame so you can see what's going on behind me. Right now, there are very few details. We know police got a call around 1 o'clock this afternoon for an unconscious person and found the 2 deceased. Neighbors tell me there were 2 adults and 3 kids that lived there. Some neighbors say they were shocked to hear the news.
It's a kind of more of a family-orientated neighborhood back here, so it's a little bit of a shock and surprise to hear this sort of thing back over this way. Usually nothing happens.
At this time, the individuals have not been identified. I'll continue to gather information and bring it to you as it becomes available. Live in College Station, Lia Musgrave, News 3.